Hello and welcome to the Boost Over Ball podcast, your go-to place for everything Rocket League with your hosts, K-Cube, AJ Binky, and Red. So lean forward, lock in, and get ready to go Boost Over Ball.
Hello and welcome back to the Boost Over Ball podcast. To listeners new and old, hello and welcome to the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Kyle, K-Cube, and either fortunately or unfortunately for you guys, depending on how you feel, this is a solo episode. A couple of things came up for AJ and Red, and they were unable to make it tonight. We got a little bit shorter of an episode. We'll be giving you an update on the Shift Summer League, both in NA and in EU, now that the matches have concluded for this week. We'll be talking about a little bit of Rocket League news that we have, and then we'll be wrapping up for today. So starting out with the Summer League, we'll start out with EU. So after match day 5, the standings are as follows. We have Oxygen Esports at 11-1. We have 100% at 9-3. We have Jobless at 8-4. We have Endpoint at 6-6. We have Esper Taco at 5-7. Luna Galaxy 5-7. Fake GA at 5-7. Saudade at 5-7. Grid Serve Resolve at 4-8, and JJ Rocks at 2-10. So after match day 4, we have 2 weeks worth of matches left. Every team will play an additional 3 matches per week, so there's 6 matches for each team left over. And if you remember from last week, in this format of the league play system, the top 4 will advance directly to the upper semifinal bracket, and the 5th and 6th place team will advance to the lower quarterfinals. So in this case, your 4 EU teams that are advancing directly to the upper semifinals are Oxygen Esports, 100%, Jobless, Endpoint, and your 2 teams that are headed to lower quarterfinals are Esper Taco and Luna Galaxy. Not really surprising to see Oxygen up there. They're the best EU team that's not headed to Worlds. Jobless of Oli Ixonas, a little bit different than the Jobless that we saw in EU competing during the last split. 100% Lewis P, Crispy, Acro of Top Cougars, notably with Relating Wave as the coach. We have Endpoint of Arjumatane Toxic, Esper Taco, Dorito, Stizzy, and Dying. Notably, Stizzy is still contracted by Dignitas at this current moment. We have Luna Galaxy with Atomic, Tox, Acronic, and CRR. Currently still with Complexity CRR is, but I'm not sure if he will be for the season. So, interesting to see Luna Galaxy a little bit further down. I think they would have liked to see themselves higher up in this ranking. 100% notably the team that's beaten, that we've seen in a couple of events not make top 8. So, a good showing for them is they have a plus 16 game differential. Esper Taco, Luna Galaxy kind of squeaking in there with -1. But, notably we have Saudade, Fake GA, Luna Galaxy, Esper Taco all going 5-7, and 1 match behind Endpoint for that last upper semifinal qualification. So, there's a lot to play for these teams. I think Oxygen, they'd have to win 3 matches to kind of lock up their spot, so to speak. That top spot at least, and I think they'd like their chances in this tournament, especially now after getting out to an 11-1 start. So interested to see what happens with that. Oxygen seemed to be a team that have kind of locked up their spot, but there's a lot to play for, especially from that 4th to 6th place range, where you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams that are within 2 wins of each other. So a lot to watch out for as these matches will happen, next week in about 5.5 days from when I'm recording this. So it'll be Monday, Tuesday. The matches will be played on Tuesday, next Tuesday, which is July 30th. So looking forward to seeing some Rocket League while we wait for Worlds to happen. Here's your chance. Make sure to check these out. And then, moving over to NA, again, after the completion of match week 4, we have, 2 more weeks or 6 matches each for these teams. And in first place, We currently have Gen G at 9-3, Reddles Magic Cheese at 9-3, G2 Stride at 8-4, Space Station Gaming at 8-4, Shopify Rebellion at 8-4, OG at 5-7, Dignitas at 5-7, Incorrect at 3-9, Pirates on a Boat at 3-9, and Fun at 2-10. So, you know, Gen G's normal roster, G2's normal roster, Space Station's normal roster, OG's normal roster, Reddles Magic Cheese is obvious. Shopify's roster, same with Pirates on a Boat. Fun is Talk, Nitrous, and T-Corel, currently playing for Triple Threat. Incorrect is Flitz, Expert, Wonder Mike, and Dignitas is Arsenal, Evo, and Zanil. So Reddles Magic Cheese does very well in match week 4 to continue their good run of form, and they are able to get some wins over G2, over Space Station Gaming. You know, they did a tremendous job getting wins over Shopify, OG, Space Station, Pirates on a Boat. You know, they're beating the teams that they should beat, and you know they're making a series out of the ones that, you know, maybe they shouldn't. So a good showing for them as they sit a two game differential between them and Gen G, who has plus 15. Reddles Magic Cheese is plus 13. G2 follows closely, 1 game behind them with a plus 11 game differential. It's tied with Space Station, but Space Station and Shopify. Space Station with plus 7, Shopify with plus 4. OG with a 0 game differential and going 5-7. So a lot of game 5s for OG, both wins and losses. So, you know, I think that they need to step their game up. They're definitely, as of right now in this tournament, they're not looking like the 4th best team in NA, even though they will be representing NA at the Worlds. I don't know if they've looked as good as, you know, a lot of people thought that they would. So certainly there's going to be a lot that needs to be done for OG. Maybe a boot camp would help that. Maybe, you know, changing some stuff up would also help with that as well. But, you know, that's something that they'll have to figure out on their own. One team that has been, I don't know if surprising a lot of people is the right way to say it, but Reddles Magic Cheese doing fantastically, showing teams that they are in fact one of the premier teams in NA. They are currently orgless, as are a lot of as are more and more of these teams like Pirates on a Boat after getting picked up by Moist. You know, Cloud9 drops their roster, Luminosity drops their roster, but I mean, these teams are having, you know, a 6-month off season. It doesn't make sense to pay the players for, you know, an entire year when they're only competing under your banner for 6 months. So Reddles Magic Cheese certainly doing themselves as many favors as possible to try and get re-picked up either by Luminosity or by another org heading into next season. But, you know, a great showing for them. Certainly fantastic performances. And, you know, G2 sitting 3rd place currently. They are, you know, only 1 game behind Gen G and Reddles Magic Cheese, but not really the result I think a lot of people were expecting of G2 after, you know, coming off a runner-up in Major 1 and a major win in Landon. So, you know, I think a lot of people thought that G2 is the best team in the world right now. They're peaking at the right time. They looked fantastic in the grand finals and throughout the tournament in London. But they dropped some quick ones early in some earlier match weeks, and you know, they have rebounded in a pretty big way with a reverse sweep last week on day 3, and you know, they've done a lot better for themselves, winning all 3 of their matches in sweeps in match day 4. So, you know, they certainly seem to be kind of on the rebound, I guess would be, maybe that's a little bit harsh to say rebound, but, you know, certainly doing better than they did in previous weeks. So, but with that, the 4 teams we have qualifying directly into the playoff upper semifinals are Gen G, Mobile One Racing, Reddles Magic Cheese, G2 Stride, and Space Station Gaming. And your teams that are qualifying into the lower quarterfinals are Shopify Rebellion and OG. So that wraps up our Shift Summer League recap here. It's a little bit quicker of a recap as it's just me today, and these matches happen midweek. So if you didn't catch them, that's the update. We have, like I said earlier, we got 2 more weeks of league play matches before we get into the playoff bracket, which will have much more in-depth coverage from us. But now jumping over to do some Rocket League news. It is announced that Flip and Spin will return for Paris Games Week. This was a tournament that happened last year after a successful 2023 debut. It's a LAN final hosted during Paris Games Week, which is later this year. Last year was Moist, Vitality, Karmine Corp, and BDS making that LAN final, with Karmine Corp winning the whole thing. The teams have reshuffled rosters this year, but many of the same faces are expected to return. The season's edition will see 4 European Open qualifiers, each starting in September after the conclusion of the World Championships. Teams qualifying for those events will be joined by 4 invited teams set to be announced in August. The EU teams competing in this year's World Championships are Karmine Corp, Vitality, BDS, and Copenhagen major winners Gentle Mates. The playoffs will conclude on October 25th with the semifinals and grand finals on stage at Paris Games Week, the same weekend as Rocket Baguette's Rising League 2024 finals, and are expected to feature the French Gaming Convention. This is set to take place in October of this year, on October 25th, as I said, but certainly exciting to see additional tournaments pop up. More French Rocket League. It continues to show why France is such a dominant force in Rocket League, and why France itself can pretty much carry any region, and why they continue to be some of the best players in the world, because they get these kind of grassroots, community-supported tournaments like Flip and Spin, like Rocket Baguette. But that's something that I kind of, as an NA Rocket League fan, that's something that I hope for, that the region should strive for, with more support for, I don't know if you can call it the bubble scene, but like more opportunities for teams to show themselves, for players to showcase their talents and their abilities, so that maybe they either their team or individual players get picked up, and you can kind of start to bring in some new faces that things that you've seen in EU, like Nas, like so many of the other talented players that have come through recently and have been given a shot by these big orgs, but that takes time, that takes support, that takes a lot of funding. So the Shift Summer League is certainly a great step in the right direction, even if it happens for both regions. And the last piece of news that we have for today's episode is not necessarily Rocket League specific news, but I can't imagine won't affect Rocket League in any form. So earlier at the London Major, it was announced that the Esports World Cup would be happening, the Rocket League World Cup, and it was announced as of the 23rd of July, so yesterday as of recording, that history was made today when the International Olympic Committee decided to create the Olympic Esport Games. The first edition will be held in 2025 in Saudi Arabia, and it was endorsed and proposed by the IOC Executive Board unanimously at the 142nd International Olympic Committee session. And for the organization of the Games, the IOC has partnered with the National Olympic Committee of Saudi Arabia for 12 years. The IOC president, Thomas Bach, said this is truly a new era for the IOC, with the confirmation by the IOC selection of the creation of the Olympic Esport Games. We are keeping up with the pace of digital revolution. The esports community represented in our Esports Commission has enthusiastically engaged with this initiative. This is further proof by the attractivity of the Olympic brand and its values it stands for among young people. The NOC of Saudi Arabia will bring great, if not unique, experience in the field of esports to this project. This partnership is based on the Olympic Charter and the Olympic values. The IOC has been engaging with esports since 2018 in a holistic way. This culminated in the organization of the Olympic Esports Week in Singapore of 2023. As a result of the success of this event, the IOC president asked if the IOC Esports Commission at the 141st IOC session in Mumbai, India, in October of 2023 to study the creation of the Olympic Esport Games. The Commission devised a project which addressed the interest of the esports community while respecting the Olympic values. This is particularly true with regard to game titles on the program, the promotion of gender equality, and the engagement with a younger audience, which is embracing esports. So this is a big announcement, even if it comes again as in Saudi Arabia, similarly to Gamers 8. But this could potentially be big for Rocket League and other esports as it brings esports further to the forefront of national media attention and people who are enjoyers of the Olympics. So, people will still represent their country. You will see all the Olympic values and ethics that you are used to seeing, and another competition for, from a Rocket League colored lens, right? Another competition, international LAN competition for Rocket League can only be a good thing, can only continue to foster growth within the scene, can only continue to bring new players into the game, inspire people to continue to grind and to play the best that they can, with the opportunity that maybe one day they'll get to represent their country in the Olympics. I will be very intrigued to see if they do a lot of the same, theatrics as like the conventional Olympics, right? Torch ceremony and opening ceremonies with the Parade of Nations, all that kind of stuff. I will be very intrigued to see how this event takes shape, and we will not have to wait long for this event. 2025 is when it will be held, and I was very intrigued to see that. I didn't know if we would have to wait an entire Olympic cycle to see that, if they would offset it from other Olympic events, and it appears that they have. So, the Summer and Winter Olympics being 2 years offset, and the esports Olympics being in between those. So it allows for, continued viewing of the Olympics, furthering of the Olympic brand and imaging. But, most importantly, it gives people another opportunity to compete for their country, further representation into a continuation of this, digital wave. Esports is becoming more and more popular. It's getting in front of more audiences, and it's a lot more accessible to everyone. So this is a fantastic step, in my opinion, by the IOC. Again, even if it is in Saudi Arabia, it's exciting to see this step, and I can't wait to see people at the Rocket League World Cup this year. But again, after that's over, we don't have to wait long to see more international play Rocket League in terms of nations competing against each other, hopefully. So that is extremely exciting, and I can't wait to see that. But like I said earlier, it's going to be a little bit shorter of an episode today. So, we've already talked about all the roster news that has happened so far. We caught up on the Shift Summer League. We talked about the Esport Olympics and flip and spin for Paris Games Week. So with that, we'd like to thank you so much for listening. We'd like to please remind you to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, join our Discord, and rate us 5 stars where you listen to podcasts, as it really helps us out. Thank you for bearing with us as we transition to Thursday morning releases on episodes. Gives us a little bit more time on the back end to bring you guys some cool content. I'm working on some stuff that is going to be very exciting, I think, for Boost Over Ball, and I can't wait to hear what you guys think about that. We're hopefully I'll be able to tell more next week, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. We'd also ask you to check out our Twitch, our TikTok, and our merch store. New items are continually added. The t-shirts, the comfort colors are extremely high quality. I cannot recommend them enough. As you saw, if you checked out our Instagram, those T-shirts went with me to a trip to Portugal when we were in Canada. They've been around the world, and they've held up fantastically. So I can't recommend those products enough. All of these links and more can be found on our updated and awesome website at boostoverball.com. And from us here on the show, as always, remember to choose Boost over Ball.
Thanks for listening to the Boost Over Ball podcast. Make sure to check out our website at boostoverball.com.